Welcome to the overview video for Chapter 16, the Early Classic Period, Instrumental Music. Your learning objectives are: number 1, to name and describe the principal instrumental genres current in the mid to late 18th century. Number 2, to diagram and describe sonata form as described in the 1780s and in the 19th century, and concerto first movement form. And number 3, to name some of the composers of the period, describe their individual styles, and identify some of their works. The new musical idiom of the mid-18th century, developed primarily in opera, became pervasive in instrumental music, which gained new independence. This time period saw a rise in works for piano, string quartet, and symphony, as well as the development of sonata form. Instrumental music served a variety of social roles, including private performance in the home, at concerts, and as entertainment music for parties. The most popular keyboard instrument was the piano, which allowed greater variety of dynamics and expression. Ensembles were written for numerous combinations of instruments, including those with the keyboard in a dominant role. The string quartet was a social activity meant for the enjoyment of the performers and their companions. The typical form for first movements in the classic period is now known as sonata form. In his introductory essay on composition in 1793, Heinrich Christoph Koch described first movement form as an expanded binary form in two sections, both normally repeated. The first, with one main period, presents the movement's principal idea in the tonic, modulates to the dominant or relative major, and then affirms the new key. The second section, with two main periods, modulates back to the tonic and then restates material from the first section in the tonic. By the 1830s, theorists described sonata form in three sections. The exposition presented a first theme, a transition leading to a second theme in a different key, and a closing theme. A development followed, which presented motives or themes from the exposition and modulated through a variety of keys before closing on the dominant. The passage emphasizing the dominant is called the retransition. The recapitulation restates the material of the exposition, but with all themes in the tonic. There may also be a slow introduction before the exposition or a coda after the recapitulation. Keyboard works were in great demand by amateurs, and sonatas were widely regarded as the most challenging. Domenico Scarlatti, 1685 to 1757, son of Alessandro Scarlatti, worked in Portugal and Spain and composed many keyboard works. In his 555 keyboard sonatas, Scarlatti typically used balanced binary form. Although Scarlatti's style in the sonatas was not gallant, he did use a great variety of figuration. The majority of Scarlatti's sonatas after 1745 appear as pairs. In effect, each pair may be seen as a sonata of two movements, always in the same key, though one may be major and the other minor, sometimes similar in mood, sometimes contrasted. Music for orchestra grew in importance during the 18th century. The symphony, which originated in Italy around 1730, was the major orchestral genre of the mid to late 18th century. The symphony assimilated elements of the opera sinfonia or opera overture, the orchestral concerto, trio sonatas in northern Italy, and the orchestral suite. The first symphonies were written by composers in northern Italy, such as Giovanni Battista Sammartini, around 1700 to 1775, whose three-movement works contained a variety of contrasting ideas. The Mannheim Orchestra, led by Johann Stamitz, 1717 to 1757, was renowned for its discipline, technique, dynamic range, and crescendos. Stamitz was the first composer to use four movements and a theme after the modulation consistently. The principal symphonists in Berlin were Johann Gottlieb Graun, 1702 or 3 to 1771, and Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach, 1714 to 1788. Their symphonies tended to be conservative, as is evident in their holding to the three-movement structure. But they were also forward-thinking, often using thematic development and contrapuntal elements. Vienna and Paris were also important centers of symphonic activity. Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach composed numerous sets of keyboard sonatas that exhibit the galant style, as well as the empfindsam style, which can be found in many of his slow movements. The character of the empfindsam style include constantly changing rhythms, sudden surprising changes of harmony, texture, or dynamics, and instrumental evocations of recitative. The solo concerto was also a popular vehicle for virtuosos. Johann Christian Bach, 1735 to 1782, was among the first to compose piano concertos. Concertos were typically three-movement works in a fast, slow, fast format. The first movement form of concertos was a combination of Baroque ritornello form, orchestral ritornellos alternated with solo episodes, and classical sonata form, contrasts in key and thematic material. By the late 18th century, the soloist improvised a cadenza just before the final orchestral ritornello. For your 25-question quiz, I would know about Heinrich Christoph Koch and sonata form. I would know about Domenico Scarlatti and his sonatas. I would know about rounded binary form. I would know about opera overture. I would know about Giovanni Battista Sammartini. I would know about symphonies. I would know about Johann Stamitz. I would know about the Berlin Conservative. I would know about Berlin's role with early symphonists. I would know about Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach. I would know about Empfindsam's style. I would know about Sturm und Drang. I would know about piano concertos and Johann Christian Bach. I would know about concerto cadenzas. And I would know about Vienna and its role with symphonic composers. Good luck.